Okay, bear with me, folks, while I get this situation squared away here. I'm in the process of bringing you a celestial chatter consideration for December 20 through 26th, the beginning of the Capricorn season. As you can see from the recording here, I have the chart up for Monday. But even before we dive into that, let's consider the high points of this coming week. Number 1, Winter Solstice. Shortest day of the year for the Northern Hemisphere and longest for the Southern. The Sun enters Capricorn. Number 2, Christmas celebration. Supposedly the birth of Christ, but he was a Virgo. Actually an accommodation for pagan and Wiccan rituals subsumed by the early church to, in a sense, buy them out or briefly bring or seem to be appealing to their lineage. Number 3, one of the most celebrated commercial enterprises of modern civilization after the war machine. But there's no shortage of solstice ritual celebrations available to tune into online. Most of them are happening on Sunday the 19th to be as inclusive as possible. And you can't really see this. It's on the printed version, which is over on my website, which is astroshapeshifting.com. Anyway, I have 3 of them there, one by Michael Mead, one by Sandra Engelman, and one by Alberto Villoldo. I'm sure if you Google for some kind of a solstice celebration, you're going to find more than ample opportunities to participate, no matter where you are on the globe. So while I definitely tune in regularly to the planetary host, lately the shamanic beckoning is tugging at me. And so here are some recent thoughts. The muses are restless. December 13th, 2021. Last night, at around the time Mars shifted into Sagittarius, sleep became elusive as the astro-shamanic muses determined it was time to consider the shamanic aspect of my website presence. Visions were painted on my conscience of time stretched and spread out in all directions. Weighing in on versions of the use of this tool and appropriate language technique, both planetary beings and members of my shamanic team seemed to blend together. And this was not a surprise, as they're all actually on the team and increasingly more often grab hold of the rudder of my thoughts. Deep in the well of winter, here in the north, the upcoming solstice has many jumping on the bandwagon of seasonally aimed advertisements and offers to assist while receiving a return on investment for what is available from their version of this energy signature. While I cannot fault folks for following these well-worn paths that we are trained to follow, I suspect that there is a much deeper and more profound stream of consciousness at work. What is underlying and keeping this modern system afloat? In the same moment, the voices of the ancestors beckon some listening time and query if we might still have vestiges of experiences when we communicated with and cared for more than a strictly human plight. Shamanism is an experience of stepping through a portal into a zone of timelessness where past, present, and future all blend into a conscious stream available for connecting with at any point along the way. Our ancestors that lived and died well still exist as energetic exemplars to tune into, just as our descendants anxiously reach out for our participation in an ongoing lineage link akin to a tonal resonance with all of life from the earliest inklings of awakening to seemingly distant future possibilities. One factor many don't often voice is the level of responsibility that stepping into the shamanic stream entails. Unlike many modern ventures that often fade from significance in the life path, once you have crossed the threshold into the shamanic realm, the level of presence of a vast array of options in assistance to all of creation becomes a way of life, and you are no longer able to recross that same threshold and retreat into an imagined realm of so-called security. There are many thresholds that will be crossed on the shamanic journey as creation beckons our participation within broader boundaries. Let us consider some Capricorn lore. Capricorn season can stir the Capricorn part that exists within each one of us, and is a time when a drive to accomplish can be accentuated. When others reach a point of exhaustion, the Capricorn is likely to surge onward with a task. This may be commendable up to a point, but we often lose sight of a broader perspective for why our soul incarnated if we put on blinders so as not to become distracted by options that might draw our attention elsewhere. Capricorn energy needs to be reminded that attaining wise elderhood does not mean sitting on top of a pile of so-called successes in solitude. In the climb up the slopes of whatever particular mountain we are attempting to ascend, there are moments when the requirement to stop and take a break should be heeded. It is amazing how invigorating tuning into the view from a mountainside perch can inspire renewed vigor and provide time for reflection on the journey and/or task at hand. This is not just a good idea, but is a necessary process in the Capricornian trek. Wisdom, often attributed to Capricorn, is attained by the advent of varied perspectives we entertain to round out our capacities of inclusion. Have you ever watched goats? These are often mischievous and energetic, frolicsome adventures. Think of the mythological Pan as an archetype of the aspects of the Capricorn potential. Yes, even you, Capricorn, have a delightful capacity to enjoy some frolic now and again. Perhaps doing a little memory search might rekindle earlier moments in your childhood when life was an adventure awaiting exploration. Why have you allowed the focus of societal dictates and accomplishment to cloud this fun side of you? Of course, it is not required all the time, but letting your hair down may be just what the doctor ordered. This week begins with Mercury traveling out of bounds and is once again joined from across the zodiac by the moon traveling out of bounds as well. There can be kind of a Uranian energy in the air when planets wander out of bounds and add vigor to this Monday. Mercury forms a trine with Uranus to take unpredictability for a spin. While this is happening in Earth signs, often leaning toward the more practical side, don't be surprised to discover a version of experiences testing what really is practical. This would not be hard This would not be hard to observe when it comes to last-minute gift giving or shopping ideas. Early on the 21st is the winter solstice. I just put the chart up for you, around 8 o'clock Pacific time. This is usually a good time to offer thanks for the shift into increasingly lengthy days ahead, though it's going to take a while before I think we notice that. We are in the initial phases of winter, and as has been recently, weather issues are not to be taken lightly. Move the chart ahead a couple days to Thursday, only 2 days before Christmas, and the third exact square aspect between Saturn and Uranus perfects. As you can see on the chart, that's right here, from Aquarius down to Taurus. This is not necessarily something new, as they have been in this very long, slow dance move for at least the whole of this year, 2021, and a little of the year before, and we'll have one more close pass near the end of next year, 2022. Saturn is rules and restrictions, boundaries, and limitations. Uranus is rebellion against everything that Saturn stands for. Uranus can strike suddenly to disrupt things, as when an earthquake happens. These two archetypes, even though seemingly at odds, require participation in a dance that attempts to locate a common ground that can appease both sides of the equation. Saturn's strictness can always use some loosening up, and Uranus's unpredictability might on occasion need some reining in. Friday. Christmas Eve finds Venus, now in retrograde, doing a dance with Pluto, as you can see right up here on the chart. Once again, closely holding hands with Pluto by conjunction. I've already discussed this aspect at length during last week's Celestial Chatter, which you can find on my astroshapeshifting.com website. Christmas Day brings the moon into opposition with Neptune. Briefly, because the moon moves so quick, but it might be beneficial to contain any quick judgments on the gift-sharing front, as this aspect across the Virgo-Pisces axis could be inclined for exaggeration. There's Neptune in the play. That might be hard to defend. A more appropriate question might be, am I being of service to my fellow Earth travelers, which includes absolutely everything the Earth is made of, and we are a part of as well. Thank you for sharing in this first year YouTube in a long time, and I look forward to enjoying this experience with you on a continuing basis once I get this system perfected.